Hello, and welcome to another episode of my Alpha Centauri Let's Play. This is Northstar. Hope you folks are well. Uh, had a bit of a major coughing fit there. Apologize. A little out of breath, a little lighthead after it. That happens. I don't know. Freaking no doctor was ever really interested in figuring out this cough I've had for many years until I was a special master's program and was to become a physician soon, and I think it was being treated as kind of a higher socioeconomic status. And then I got disabled on COVID, and suddenly I'm not worth shit to the system anymore. It's fucking bullshit. Capitalism does this. It treats most people, unless there's a thought of them being high status, and status is often income and determined by wealth, though sometimes earning potential. You're otherwise you get shitty health care. You're not treated like you matter. I mean, maybe the physicians also were more interested in really figuring this out. Because I was maybe on the verge of becoming one of them. There was one doctor who seemed to be particularly motivated, but then pandemic hit, all non-essential appointments were canceled, and by the time I came back to even try and consider dealing with this, had time again. I was already disabled on COVID, and I was being treated like I wasn't worth shit because I was on Medicaid. This is, I don't know, the U.S. system is destroying itself. Capitalism is destroying itself, but it did not get to this point until after the U.S. quote won Cold War, really succeeded in not losing it first, because the U.S. system was already showing signs of decay before, under Reagan's administration, well before the end of the Cold War. The seeds of rot had already been planted some time back, with wages and productivity already diverging in like 1972. So by the end of the Cold War, it had been 16 years of stagnant wages for ordinary Americans. And there was no peace dividend after the Cold War. It's not like the U.S. went back to investing domestically. No, it went to freaking just dominating the rest of the world. Unconstrained military spending. In fact, military spending increased after the Cold War ended. It's insane. It's blood. I mean, it maybe went down a little bit for a while, but it's now higher. This is imperialism. This is a fucked system. Oh yeah, for those new to my channel, welcome. Check this series out from the game. But yeah, I'm a Marxist, a democratic socialist. So I don't believe in a one-party state. I don't believe in democratic centralism, which leads to one-party states. So I'm not Marxist Leninist, because that one idea that Lenin had, democratic centralism, leads to a one-party state. The idea that all socialist parties should merge into one, that's bullshit. Different socialist sub-ideologies have different ideas, and they are not compatible with each other. The only way to work this out is through, battling it out over many decades once socialists are freed from the oppression of a capitalist system that doesn't allow them to usually debate their ideas freely or have any political power. I mean, you see academia, and especially in the U.S., often being purged of Marxist academics. You see socialist parties being subverted by like the FBI and the CIA. It's bullshit. There's no way that socialists can work out their differences until there's a socialist government. But it's bullshit that they should all unify into one. That leads to one party state. You need multiple socialist parties with different sub-ideologies of socialism competing. And there's value in debate. That's how you ensure sufficient. It doesn't guarantee the right ideas win, but it provides space for people to compare evidence and facts and arguments and figure out what the material reality supports. A lot of Marxists think, oh, that's idealism. Ideas debate. No, no, no. You misunderstand Marx. There's many different ways you could try and interpret reality. Just because the basis of reality is a material fact, is experiences make ideas possible. Make concepts possible. To quote, for those of you who watched my previous video, Secrets of the Human Brain, Tech, there's a quote from Immanuel Kant, either there are two ways to account for the necessary agreement with experience with its objects. Either experience makes concepts possible, or these concepts make experience possible. Capitalism comes from the whole idealism tradition, the idea that concepts make experience possible, but actually, any scientist will tell you that's bullshit. The physical world makes concepts, makes our understanding of reality possible. But that doesn't mean that people can't be wrong. Anyone with actual experience of science is, which Lenin did not have, unfortunately, and Marx was a philosopher, would have understood. You can have different academics with wildly different ideas about how to interpret the material facts. Just because only one of them can be right doesn't mean that's obvious who is correct. Anyhow, enough of that. I need to spend a little time in the design workshop here, and maybe a little bit looking at the intelligence I've gathered from the Spartans and contacting Lady Deidre Sky, and there's of course Micro. Now the first thing, I spend a lot of time off camera. I rest for hours and hours a day. I'm just lying in bed and I don't have the energy to do anything. But kind of thinking what I would do with the stuff, at least I can try when there are moments I can't even think. I'm so tired. But first of all, this is useless now. When I retire this design, I never built any laser squads. That was so I could potentially rush them out and upgrade them as soon as I had the tech. If things were worse with the Spartans, missile squads. They cost. By the way, I could do this, but this X for nerve gas. Interesting. If you're playing Iron Crossfire, you can use nerve gas on aliens, by the way, and it's not considered an atrocity. People say bullshit about, ooh, it affects the environment. No, Planet doesn't care about minor atrocities, obliteration of bases, nerve gas, etc. It only cares about major atrocities. That is, it only cares about use of nuclear weapons and tectonic missiles. Those damage the environment. Nerve gas, nerve stapling, they do not reduce your clean mineral limit. That's a misconception because people use the same term for major and minor atrocities, and they're not the same thing at all. And I think there was some misinformation about if you do a certain number of minor atrocities, that adds up to major. That's bullshit. Whoever said that was full of crap. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm right about everything in the game mechanics. I should mention, I was right about bases go one by one, and accumulate to tech. And if you're getting super min-maxing, like there's this guy, T-Hawk on the Realms Beyond forums, did a super microwave hive game. Although I'm not surprised. It was insane how, and he also used a lot of exploits. I'm not surprised by any of that because the people on the Realms Bound are kind of shit. So a lot of them, even that guy who was like more than he had this idiot fluffball arguing with him was a prick. But they're both kind of jerks. That forum attracts a lot of jerks. There's some decent people, but something about the way it's structured. Anyways, so tech accumulates. So I guess I had a base that produced 2 tech that went after I discovered the last tech, which was Secrets of the Human Brain that I traded. But if I were to get more tech, the tech costs go up for future techs. But apparently, at least now in Crossfire, I'm pretty sure it's true here, tech cost is locked in once you start work on tech. So I could have traded techs with the Hive earlier, contacted them a couple years ago when I first got their frequency. Gotten gene splicing. Of course, that would have meant they would have had doctrine flexibility, industrial economics, and planetary networks all sooner, which I'm assuming still would trade them. So it would have helped them, but it would have helped me, and probably should have done it because even though the cost of Secrets of the Human Brain would have gone up if I had not started before those tech trades, it does not go up if I'd already had locks in the tech costs, apparently. Also some stuff that might be inaccurate about, there's a possibility chance of discovering a mine worm goes down when you've been in a xeofungus tile before, but I'm pretty sure that's not accurate. The guy was saying it. I'm pretty sure this is a widespread misconception about this game. There's a lot of widespread misconceptions. Well, I'm mentioning, and this is a transport, not a supply car, by the way. um, this guy was using an exploit where you upgrade supply cars and then expand them, and you would get more minerals out that you put in. That's clearly an exploit. Supply cars to rush projects, not exploit. Upgrading them to do this, and not like just, I mean, I might occasionally build the crawlers and sometimes upgrade them with like armor just to protect against mine worms, but I'm not doing it for a secret project thing, and I probably would avoid displaying those supply cars if possible. Or at least if it's way later, then I would have been better investing energy, in facilities if that was what I was after. I'm going to try and avoid that because that's a bug, an exploit in the game, and you should not be doing that. Treating that like it's a legit tactic is nonsense. Treating supply cars like they're not legitimate or shouldn't be in the game is also bullshit. They were clearly meant to be in the game. It's a sci-fi future. This is not civilization on another planet. This is the future of human civilization. And so it was very clever by the devs, but to include supply cars, because it caused the game to fundamentally change, to break all the rules of how civ games normally work. Once you reach a certain technological point, as it should be, the nature of empire and industrial production stuff will fundamentally change with technology and widespread automation, which is what supply cars represent, is automation. Anyways, let's see. This, I don't have any of those queued, right? Yeah. Should say one in production. Yeah. I haven't started on this yet. Former's John's Crash. Ooh, what? There we go. Save that. The reason I'm doing that is I'm going to be producing those next, the Plasma Sentinels, but they should have trance ability, because so I could... No. It's weird, you see that little thing in front of them. They have trance, I don't know why, what that thing floating is supposed to represent, but I guess it helps against mine worms. It's like a drone. I don't know. Might as well get these. Might as well train Plasma Sentinels with trance. Yeah, these in the 14 slot. I'm gonna retire these. I haven't made any. Come on. There we go. Could do that, but it's not free at all. So let's see. Number 1 is still that obsolete scout rover. 2 is recon rovers. For fast-moving worm protection, these will always have a role. Attacking them until I get empath rovers anyhow. 10 is APC. Haven't made any of these either. Anyways, trans plasma sentinels. This not free. Amusing, but nah. These are at least not non-combat units, and they're harder for Toei to soften up, so they have a role very rarely, but I I'd probably never invest more in the 23 rows. Let's see. Formers. I don't have 1827 costs. One Pioneer. There we go. Transplasma over boats. What? Frontier probe team. That's not at all. Oh, God. It's doing weird things. I'll get around that. There we go. Transplasma hover boats. Sorry, am I clicking like a madman here? Missile skim ships. 5 rows with armor, 4 without. But, and 6 rows with transbelly. Interesting. But, yeah, I will want missile skim ship save because eventually, I mean, it's better to go weapons than armor on ships. When attacking, obviously, I mean, weapons outpace armor consistently in the game, so it's usually better to spend minerals on weapons, especially with ships because they get long-range fire. Either on other ships, which enters like an artillery duel type thing where the highest weapon value is all that matters. Armor is irrelevant in that, or, you know, of course, they might be bombarding coastal positions, ground troops that can't even fight back. There's no reason to emphasize armor. I only did the armor on ships where it costs the same. Like I have this laser foil, which I'm going to mark this obsolete, I guess. To upgrade it would cost, 5 rows plus 4. Cost 90 energy to upgrade the thing. Not cost effective. Yeah, the laser foil will probably never get upgraded. The one that had armor. Did allow me to get a pro tape that had a higher morale level, though. Well, it might upgrade to this, actually. So the upgrade costs are based on the mineral cost of the thing you're upgrading to. It doesn't matter if it's the same or if it's one higher or even if it was less. It's always just number of rows and then the difference in weapon and armor. So, for instance, to upgrade, which means to upgrade to upgrading from expensive things, like from 6 to 7 mineral rows, you're still going to pay, even without a difference in weapons and armor, you'd be paying 70 energy credits just for that. So, for 1 row of minerals. So, you don't want to upgrade things that have a high mineral cost already, just as a general rule. And you can't downgrade armor or weapons, which is why I can't upgrade, like strip the armor and turn one of these into a missile skim ship, a 614. So I'm kind of stuck with the 224 I built earlier. Yeah, so it's now obsolete. Scout rover, laser foil, both obsolete. This at least can be upgraded to the transplasma hoverboat with time. The scout rover to a missile rover. Time. Special abilities add nothing to upgrade costs. It's worth noting. But if they add to the mineral rows, then that adds to upgrade costs. So turning this into a transversion should in theory only cost 20 energy because the cost is 2 rows. Because there's no difference in weapon armor. Let's see. Fungicidal formers, it's a 30 energy upgrade. Good unit to have around. Oops. Slot 64? What the heck? Slot 16. I'm sorry, I'm being... I'm trying to keep my stuff organized in slots so I know how many I have left at any time. Give me time. So there we go. Fungicidal formers. Could... Oof. Armor one of them. If I wanted to help against mind worms, it would cost, though, 60 energy to add armor to a fungicidal former. If it was non-fungicidal, it would cost 30. Or no, 40. Oh, wait, that's 5 rows. So 5. Yeah, 5, 10. And this is 4. So it would cost 50 to add armor. 60 to go armor in fungicidal version. Just going 2 fungicide, 30, and armor on top of that. 40, 50? Now let's see. This is already 3 rows. This is 5. Yeah, so it would go from 30 all the way to 60 energy. For what? There's 2 more rows of minerals. I mean, it's a good trade-off of, like, it's better to actually upgrade than to produce, because 30 energy for 18 minerals is a good trade-off, but, do I want to add, just give me a sec to think. Yeah, I was playing around a little with this. I wanted to demonstrate. If I wanted to protect formers against mind worms a little, so they could operate unescorted with somewhat less chance of dying, they would still die on average, but it would save me the support cost of a escort unit, which at least until I get clean reactors, which I don't think are that far away, could be cost effective. Of course, that's only if I'd be producing a unit to escort them that I wouldn't have otherwise. At this point, I often have like scout patrols out hunting mind worms, and they're just in the area anyway, so they can often do double duty, providing some protection. This would be an example, though, right here of an upgrade 50 energy to provide synth metal armor to remove the minus 50% non-combat unit debuff. 30 to provide hypnotic trance. Now, the way that multipliers work is in the same category they're additive, but within different categories they're multiplicative. So this takes unit, psi combat is 3 to 2. So you have base strength 2 defending. gets upgraded to 3, but then you lose half, so it's back to 1.5, as opposed to 1 for a non-combat unit. So you gain 0.5 for trance. If you remove that non-combat debuff, on the other hand, like this, that's 2 to 3. So you gain, for not twice the cost, you gain twice the strength. So with the way you get the most important odds to actually do or when they're strong against you. So they may be somewhat cost effective. You probably wouldn't want to have a former unescorted where there's any danger, where you're moving to fungus a lot and you're going to get lots of mind worms, 1 in 3 chance each time, without at least this. And even more ludicrous, you could do this, which instead of being, let's see, oops, this goes from 50 to 2 more rows. That's 5 rows, and that's, no, let me say this is 6 rows. Yeah, to 70 to make it trance on top of that and have even odds on mind worms. It's tempting, and one of the things I saw that was troubling, even with the micro-heavy people, is they're assuming that 2 energy equals 1 mineral. That's bull. Excuse me. It depends how you're going to be using the energy. But on facilities, sure, but often facilities are not the best investment. If you're building formers, colony pods, rush buying military units, it's going to be often worse than that. A little bit of the last row, you can get like 2 energy mineral trade off for the near the end. I've been doing that a lot, and paying off to a little more, averaging on like 2.3. But I can't spend more energy without having to rush earlier. And so I'm starting to enter the region where it's 2.5, 2.7. For if you're rushing something, the last row, if you do the entire last row, it's 25 energy for 10 minerals if you're not planned economy. The row before that, it is 30 energy for that entire row, and then the row before that be 35. So I'm very much entering the region of closer to 3 to 1 trade-off if I want to put a lot more energy into units, because I'm already rushing the most of the last row quite consistently. Maybe not quite 3, maybe like 2.8. I mean, averaging, which is to say, if each mineral is effectively worth more energy, then it becomes more cost effective to save on escort units and such. Time to pay something back, though, is probably still not great on that. But what I might want is this. This will still not perform very admirably at all against mind worms. But for an additional cost of 20, so this costs 60 instead of, wait, they say, yeah, sorry, 30 for an additional 30 cost. So instead of, because that's 3 rows. So that's 2 more rows and an armor upgrade. Yeah, so instead of paying 30 minerals, pay 60, and then the formers have some ability to defend themselves against mind worms. So if I had 2 formers operating, maybe not on the same tile because of collateral damage, but side by side, I spent 60 energy doing these additional upgrades. I might save myself on 1 scout patrol, and in 20 turns it pays for itself. So it's not terrible, but it's a little worse than colony pods and such. Probably won't do that yet, but it's a thing to keep in mind. Situationally, like if I have already have some fungicidal formers, well, no, because if I'm upgrading fungicidals to these, it's still going to cost the exactly the same 60. I wouldn't want to do that right before being attacked. So yeah, I probably won't bother. I'll just leave my formers unarmored. Someone will get the fungicidal ability so that I can save some former turns on clearing fungus. But the missile rovers, they're expensive. If I wanted to upgrade my recon rovers to missile rovers, so from 2 rows to 5, uh, what would be 27 minerals. I'm going to instead pay for 50 for the mineral cost, then 40 more for the upgrade. So 90 energy for 27 minerals, or 30 without planned. That's not great. If I were to turn around and instead disband some of these recon rovers, I get 10 minerals back. And then if I'm buying one of these, if I'm building one of these, I could put in like 10 more minerals and rush the last 3 rows, which would be 25, 30, 35. So same 90 energy as before, but this would give me the opportunity in some cases, like at a command center, to. So let me explain. So here at Border Agency, I have a command center. So if I were to start work on some missile rovers after I prototype them, and keywords is after I prototype them, I would not even want to touch this until I prototype missile units, which I'll have to do with infantry because it's still 2 rows for missile squads. Also, heavy artillery, I think, are on an infantry chassis like this are also only 2 rows. So I'll definitely be doing some missile artillery once I get the tech. Yeah, so it depends, I guess, that, I'd probably want to put in the 3rd row, because the 3rd row would cost 3.5 energy per mineral around that to rush. So it's probably better to just spend minerals, and then I'd rush the last 2 rows and get some cost savings effectively. And this allows me, if I've got nothing better to do with the production here, like if I don't want to keep spamming probe teams, but I don't want to crush the economy here with support costs, UN Border Agency can focus on modernizing my rover fleet a little bit, getting some missile rovers. I'd probably do that with the disciplined rovers. They're the least valuable, so I'd probably prioritize disbanding some of them. And this would also happen to free up some minerals at like monitoring agency and stuff. Up here I'm doing formers, so cool. I may actually have to send some rovers back here to get support again before long. Yes, I know that's a lot with. Why is it? I would never build this. That's garbage. I know that's a lot with like design workshop and kind of min-max stuff, but I might break this off before long. Keep this a short episode that's kind of boring, but some people are interested in design or workshop, and I thought I'd explain some of it for people who go, play this game and want to have some idea if things are good to do. Yeah, so it can get very situational, like figuring out whether you want to upgrade something or not. For instance, an impact rover is 3 rows, I know that, which means to upgrade a recon rover to an impact rover, 2 points in weapon and 3 rows cost. Doesn't matter, it costs 2, it would be 50 energy. 50 energy for essentially 1 mineral row. If I wanted to turn recon rovers into impact, it'd be far better disbanding a recon rover, getting 1 mineral row back, and doing the 2nd row minerals and then rushing the 3rd. That would be 25 energy in and 10 minerals. I mean, instead of spending 50. And again, I could use that to retrain essentially units at command centers and have ones with greater experience, and it's effectively the same cost, but also makes use of what else am I going to be doing with the minerals. In some case, put them into modernizing and save my energy for building facilities where I actually need them, which I don't want facilities at Border Agency in case things go really tits up and I lose that base to the Spartans. Leave them a basis not that valuable except for supporting lots of troops. It needs a command center for defense, but I could be wrong about that. Maybe I should. I may be. Well, I know I'm somewhat overestimating the danger of the Spartans. So what I should be able to do here is look. Oh, they have a probe team. Okay. I can see what they have. Since I have infiltration, if I don't know all their bases, they have two formers. Two formers. No wonder their economy is so weak. A colony pod somewhere, so they're building another base. I don't know how many bases they have. Can I see at the energy bank even if I don't know their location? That's a good question. Yes, I can see all their base lists. So they have 8. No, 8 is just what I can see at one time before scrolling down. Parade ground is number 8. They have 9 bases. I can only see 3 of them, but they have 9 bases in total to my 14. No, I think it's 15 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. No, I have 14 bases still. What I have is a colony pod in production here and here and here. So I'll very soon up to 17, then 18 bases. But yeah, to my 14 bases, the Spartans have 9. So I have a little more than 50% more bases than them, which is part of why I've been able to invest more and outgrow them economically. To my 27 formers, they have 2. But the concerning thing is they have 36 impact infantry and 4 impact rovers. Compared to my 40 recon rovers, some of which are actually... And then they also have 3 armored impact infantry as well, and 3 synth metal garrisons. So compared to some of my recon rovers and scout patrols, which are actually out doing exploration, that means I could probably muster about 32 recon rovers to the front, whereas most of the Spartans probably not exploring overseas and not scouting out nearly as much. So I could potentially face 42 infantry, 4 rovers, something around there. I mean, they may have some scout patrols scouting and such, but 42 infantry and 4 rovers to like 32 rovers of mine. So I'd be outnumbered, and they would have quality and weaponry. Not that it matters hugely, because except when attacking armored units, they'll get slaughtered by my recon rovers. These units are... the recon rovers will trade 1-to-1 with them when attacking, and when defending, they'll get slaughtered. And they have some synth metal garrisons, which if they move them with their stacks, would protect against my rovers a little bit. So yeah, they got the numbers, they got the tech. I'm ahead of the might rating because population and technology do contribute to might rating. So I've got a stronger economy than them, but the Spartan military is ahead of mine. That being said, because I've got all these probe teams, they have 1, and they have a 2nd in production. But they do have probe teams, interesting, and almost unexpectedly already. To 4 that are really fast enough to infiltrate bases. The slow ones are very often they'll just send infantry out. And 11 slower ones. I guess I have 2 more in production. So 13 slow, 4. So to my 17 probe teams. So I have an advantage in intelligence. I have advantage in civilian economy. And there's a kind of narrow bottleneck here that's not through fungus where the fighting would be. I'm likely to have advantage in military tactics because I'm a human player. So I could hold off the Spartans if they attack me by wiping stacks, even if I have to throw away like 7 rovers to kill 3 or 4 of their units on the attack, but then it wipes the rest of the stack collateral damage. Through making use of the bottleneck terrain and spear tactics, I should be able to prevent them from taking border agency, most likely. But I do not have the strength to take most of the Spartan bases. Maybe parade ground. if I catch them by surprise with like, they have currently, okay, most of their garrison has left the base. That's concerning. I thought they just sent some troops out to catch my probe team, but I always see one unit in parade ground. That's deeply concerning. And one... Shit, they mobilized their entire army. That can only mean they're about to attack. Yeah, okay. And all my rovers are futzing around hunting mine worms and they're not in position. Yeah, I better... my probe teams should be able to spot them as they come in, probably. Spread them out. I always see one infantry here, which will probably go on to the probe team and send this one back. I figured there was something around here. But looking at them makes it look like everything they have has left their bases. So where are they? I don't know. They could be like gathering them further south before advancing in great force. So they could be moving through the fungus here, which is risky. But would allow them to show up completely unexpected, undetected, till the last minute. I don't know what they're doing, but I think they're about to go to war with me. Right. So maybe, especially if the garrison's away, I could probably snatch up one or two bases if they attack me and maybe force them into a quick peace treaty. But otherwise, I'd probably lose most of my military wiping their military. A major military spending spree might be in order if I can. This base is close to the front. I need these somewhere because I need to prototype missile weaponry. I can hit their stack really hard, or shoot. Yeah, no, if I'm defending, I'm screwed. So that will this will make mincemeat of any of their synth metal units that come along to protect their stack. Enable my recon rovers to wipe the unarmored units. So, yeah, I don't have impact weaponry, which would also work, though less well. I was going to steal that tech from the Spartans, but I may not get the chance now. Yeah. Yeah, they're going to show up with a bunch of impact infantry soonish, I suspect. It's a good place, World Health Organization, to prototype plasma steel units because eventually the base is going to get a fungal pop in the second and the third from eco damage. And it needs a garrison unit, neither of which I don't think probe teams provide police. Nope. Yeah, and there's always a tiny risk of Isles of the Deep. I mean, I'd probably send it to the front, but there's always a tiny chance that it gets used right where it's needed. I mean, it's also a way other place with the command center. So there's that after another former. Which... Yeah. Space is gonna soon get a mine. They'll get back up to 9 minerals, and then I can afford probably to support another unit, but I probably still have HQ, UN headquarters, support the... Try not to choke industrial production where I actually have command centers produce units to command centers and have them supported by other bases. But yeah, I did screw up. I didn't know I had screwed up because I was new at this, but the probe teams should always get support from border agencies. So if they get caught, they get kicked back to border agency. Like this one will just go right back here. If this one gets caught, they'll be sent all the way back to Hydrology Council, which actually isn't far. This probe team comes from border agency. Cool. I swear there was another one around. Where are my probe teams? Monitoring agency. Yeah, these two should make us stop by border agency, so they have less distance to return. But the fast probe teams can usually reach bases because if they just have infantry, they can only move one tile out or one move out. The rivers and roads extend that. Since I know the probe team is caught here, apparently they are willing to rush if they're dealing with probe teams. So because that was a 2/3 move. I did move here to see how many units they mobilized, even though I know the probe team will get sent back. But yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time actually infiltrating the bases of the slow probe teams, but they're more to skirt around the edges of the bases, find the terraforming, find where they might have formers, which I could potentially bribe unguarded formers, because they could move the formers onto the probe team and kick them away, but I think they'll just continue whatever terraforming they're doing. Daring me to bribe them, basically, which I think if I bribe a unit, the Spartans will declare war. It might be more of a thing to do when at war, but the main use of the slow probe teams is to kind of just sit a little bit away from their base and act as forward spotters for my army, so I know where they are, and forward spotters for artillery when I get some artillery units. So in terms of actual data stealing probe teams, I've got four probe teams that can actually steal text and such, which is not an enormous amount, but whatever. And the SO ones, they spot stuff. They look for things, that civilian units that won't try and kick them away, mainly formers, but even if I'm looking at the occasional colony pod. Yes, they map the terraforming, bribe the formers and colony pods, and act as forward observers, and as well as like deep scouts. That don't cost any support and don't cause a diplomatic incident like a rover going around Spartan territory would. Like, I'm forced to either pull it back or declare war, usually, after a little bit, so I can't map their territory with rovers. I tried that before, and I failed. Although maybe I could just kept refusing to leave, but it would have led to Sparta declaring war before it was ready, if nothing else. Yeah. And then eventually the solo probe teams can guard bases against enemy probe teams, where probe combat is initiated instead of the base being infiltrated or such. So they're also useful for guarding bases. If the Spartans have a probe team, and it looks like they're working on a second, I probably should keep a slow probe team or two in border agency, maybe one in monitoring and hydrology, just in case of Spartan infiltrators. It's worth considering. I have so many. I don't need 17 deep scouts, but maybe 14 or 12, and the rest act defensively, and they're cheaper than this fast probe team, so even if they lose probe combat and get destroyed, it costs less to replace them. These units are optimized for defending. There's nothing more cost effective you can defend with against in probe combat. Well, I shouldn't say nothing. You could create a trained probe team, maybe. I think it would cost one more mineral row, but it would have an extra morale level. Maybe that would be worth it in some cases. The enemy has higher probe rating than you and higher morale on their probe teams as a result. I think that's how that works. All right. I'm going to do a little micro here. moving stuff around, and I'm probably going to cut the video, take a little bit of a breather because I'm getting a bad headache. And then I will see you folks next video where I will contact Lady Deidre Sky. Consider probably convene the Planetary Council. I might try and bribe Sky, depending. How many votes does she have? 35. She's got 35 pops. Wow, that's actually kind of impressive for the AI. I think Santiago is ahead, but she has the Monson Jungle. Yeah, 44. No way she's going to vote for me, but maybe. I wonder if I could bribe Sky, even though she'd be the other candidate, to vote for me for Planetary Governor. That would assure victory. I'd rather bribe Miriam and Morgan, though. They're the two weakest factions, so I don't mind strengthening them, especially because they're at war with each other, so most of the extra strength they gain, they just piss away fighting each other. And there aren't my Pact-mates. Maybe even the university. How many? Zakharov has only 14 council votes. Yeah. So I'll do a little consideration, but I'll probably try and become Planetary Governor. Do tech trades with Sky first and then Planetary Governor. And then, yeah, I need to seriously consider that the Spartans might be about to attack me. I can see no other reason that they would have pulled all those impact infantry in these 3 bases, because if you remember, they're like 4 to 6 infantry in each of these bases, and they're suddenly gone. Other than that, they're mustering for war. Right. So if they're being really sneaky, maybe they go up this coast and they're going to show up near Alluvial Council. Of course, it doesn't take me that many moves to get all these rovers here. And I do have the occasional unit out scouting, so I might even spot them on the way. All right. Give me a sec, even just to pause, catch my breath. All right. Pause for a sec. Also give me a sec to consider. I'm thinking what I want to do here, is I'm going to need to feed back my rovers this way, at least some of them, and have some rovers over here in case the Spartans are trying to sneak through the fungus, and even if they're not. If war does break out, being able to have units here and units here and catch any attack force that doesn't go through fungus would have to come up through this monolith bottleneck. So that would give me a chance to skirmish them, be able to fall back to this monolith for repairs. Stuff here can go via the river system and repair back at monitoring agency if need be. Skirmish them and try and pincer their forces. Stacking like everything in this bottleneck is not a good idea because collateral damage. So you don't. People think stacks of Doom are optimal in Alpha Centauri or even Civ 4 are insane. They are not. In Civ 4, there was catapults and cannons. They weren't as cost effective as they should have been. And people would underestimate them by looking at the damage they do. Like, oh, it kills 30% of 3 units. That's not even trading for 1 unit. And forget that in Civ 4, if a unit's damaged, it's less likely to win each combat round. So in Alpha Centauri, a unit has 10 health, but every round, their odds of winning are just based on strength ratios. It doesn't change, so they die. Damage unit still hits just as hard. It just can't hit as long. In Civ 4, a damage unit is less likely to win each combat round as it becomes damaged. And it's got fewer rounds to live, so it's exponentially worse. So you damage some units, and then you can clean them up with your own units and suffer far fewer casualties. And that got arguably Civ 4 had the right mechanics to deal with stacks of Doom. It just they weren't quite as powerful as they should have been. I hate 1 unit per tile bullshit. They should have just made catapults able to do long range fire, like in Alpha Centauri, where they can attack 2 tiles away I mean, hexes were a good idea, but it shouldn't have been 1 unit per tile. Hexes should have just been stackable. Able to attack stacks 2 tiles away like they can here and damage every unit in the stack without any potential for retaliation unless the enemy has artillery. That was the way to go. That's how it worked here. It worked fine. And on top of that, collateral damage if you kill a unit stack. What that leads to is the optimal size is usually like 3 to 4 unit stacks. Any more than that, and the potential of suffering collateral damage, it's just you're throwing units away. Never stack units like 6 deep in Alpha Centauri. You want like 3. And mind you, a 3 unit, or let's say 4 unit stack, if one of the units loses, the other 3 are all suffering 30% health damage. Even if they're full health, the last unit's only at 10% health by the time it's engaged. It's actually, you don't want stacks of 4 to get attacked if possible. The reason 3 to 4 is often it's the way that you have enough units to hit the enemy hard if you don't lose the combat. And of those 3 to 4, you might want like 2 to be armored units. They're there to try and win defensive battles so you don't suffer collateral. Another 2 were offensive units, maybe 3, to actually hit the enemy because attack is more cost effective than defense. You just can't always be sure to have the initiative. That's what the probe teams help with, is gain the initiative, because I don't know where they are and I can position my army so they have no choice but to get attacked before they can attack me. Having mobility as well. And my transports really help with that a lot because they can allow me to potentially project power out at 3 tiles with rovers or 2 with infantry. So it gives me an advantage of mobility, which is why I have a few of those. I only have 4 surviving, and I probably need to produce more. I don't think I can afford to do another former here, so probably an APC after the former. A monitoring agency. Let's see, they're probably going to be working that, so there'll be a 2 mineral surplus. And the former's done be 1. When democracy, there'll be neutral minerals. It's gonna be a while till they can start on the APC. Yeah, but okay, maybe I need to do an unarmored transport then. I don't. It's gonna take too long for the base. Otherwise, the thing will never be produced on time. Yeah. But yeah, I'll probably upgrade like a few. I have like, I think 3 rovers. They're commando rank. Those will probably get upgraded to missile rovers, and the rest will just fight as recon rovers. Because the only time I really need the missile rovers is when attacking synth metal armored Spartan units, which they have about 6, and 3 of them are probably just defending their bases. So at most they might show up a 3 in their stack. So I don't need more than like 3 or 4 missile rovers. The rest can recon will fight just fine. Save my energy for facilities upgrades and such. I can also use the infantry if I have the mobility to use them correctly. Let's see if I'm disbanding and retraining 1 or 2 rovers here. So that's essentially 5 rows, 4 rows to, yeah, and I'd be still probably energy buying the last 2. Yeah, if I'm upgrading my rovers, occasional missile squad, where can I produce some APCs? Because I do need, I think, a little more mobility. Here. This base has a few more free minerals. Although that's because I'm working on forest. Because I'm going to grow very soon. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, so I need a little more mobility for my stacks. I'm going quality over quantity. Fewer units that actually can fight, but fighting in ways so that they trade better. so that a smaller combat force can beat a force numerically larger. This is taking the Spartan doctrine of superior quality troops and outdoing the Spartans in it. That's the idea. Because we both will be fighting with veteran troops that they produce harden and use monoliths just like I do. So best troops would be veterans versus veterans, but mine will have APCs so that they can attack instead of having to defend more often. Equal quality, but with superior initiative. All right. Yippers. You know what? I'm looking at this. Can only move here. It's actually here. I'm gonna want to have units come back through. This doesn't give any more ability to strike here. Popping out here. Only useful thing it does is keep an eye on it. No, you can't see in a fungus anyways, so. Alright. Disciplined rover. Pretty sure I can disband this into the prototype to get it done sooner. Let's find out. This will free up a mineral forest agency, which is working on a colony pod. Probably one of the best things it could divert minerals into. Next year, this will be at 8. I free up one mineral, will be at 9. Still not quite. I might have multiple units from forest agents that can disband. Probably not. Probably not. Okay. I currently have 3, 6. Pretty sure this will give 9 because no. Yeah, I gave him a row. So it gave 9 minerals. Putting a disciplined rover into a prototype unit, which with the command center will train at veteran and then become commando. I don't want to do that like crazy because I'm going to need numbers, but against the Spartans. But I do want to upgrade some missile troops, which also have a higher might rating. A missile unit represents 9 times the might ranking of a recon rover at this point, because the missiles are the best weapon tech available, and they have 3 times the tap power. Everything is scaled for lower weapon units down to a fraction. So lasers have 1/3 the tap power of the current best weapon, so they lose 1/3 their might, and then they also lose another third for having 1/3 the tap power. Impact weaponry loses. They lose 2/3 their might. The laser. Impact weaponry loses a third, and then loses another third for being 4 to 6. So, impact weapon. So missiles are 9 times as effective at deterrence as laser troops and 2.25 times as effective as impact. They don't necessarily represent that much actual value in a fight, at least not current tech levels. Impact weaponry are probably the happiest medium between quality and deterrence and quantity, but it will prevent my might rating from dipping so that the Spartans think they can take me out, even as a disband stuff is the point. Oh yeah, monitoring agency is kind of choked for minerals, isn't it? 2, then 1, 0. Yeah, and this is a damaged disciplined rover. I have a hard time imagining a rover that would be a better candidate to be disbanded. Presuming. Save again. Presuming this one. I do want to check Yeah, I just want that. I wish there was a marker for whether it's ever visited a monolith before, which it has not. I mean, it has, so it's not like actually effectively hardened. Boom. Now,
confirmation.
I basically one-turn the missile prototype, missile squad. I just got the tech and I'm already producing same turn some missile infantry, which allowed me to start training missile rovers. Guess I'll start off by disbanding my worst rovers into new ones, because that'll save me support for a turn or two. So I probably won't do it more than 2 that way, and then I'll upgrade some units. Some of my most elite units will just continue to operate. Do I even have many more disciplined? Oh, here. Alrighty then. Disciplined border agency. Disciplined headquarters. Yeah, I'm going to send all the rovers that are merely disciplined back to border agency to disband into missile rovers. Don't want to designate defender a rover. I want the scout patrol to defend the stack. Hardened support from World Health. Oh, this one. They train at Hardened, so this is should be effectively a veteran. It's not visit a monolith before, I'm pretty sure. I thought I'd done that with all my rovers, had them all visit monoliths, but there's no other way I'd get a hardened from unless it rebased to get support from World Health and it was trained as a green unit and then visit a monolith and then saw combat, or it's the only other way I could see. So yeah, this one's actually effectively a veteran. I definitely wouldn't want to expand that. All right. Maybe I can still do a little more worm hunting. I'll think about it. This is designated defender and it's hardened. Why is that the designated defender? Must have been from the past. This needs repairs for sure. This is probably also, well, this might have rebased at border agency, so it might not be effectively a veteran. No real way to know. Just pair it. Oh no, I guess rebased. This is a disciplined rover. Repaired border agency, but for now I can serve it. Forward roll here. If a Spartan stack suddenly popped out of the fungus, they shouldn't be this close this early. Or mine where it would disengage. It would fight and disengage unless the unit had more speed. And apparently the Spartans are just they start with doctrine mobility, so I don't understand why the heck they're spamming infantry. They should have been spamming rovers. It also goes with their quality over quantity approach. Rovers cost more. Impact rovers cost 3 rows. Impact infantry 2. But since they're choking their bases and support a little bit, as am I, it's not actually bad strategy. They just should have. The main problem is just that the AI doesn't prioritize Centauri ecology or build formers early enough. If they did that, they'd be quite competitive with me right now. with the monsoon jungle start anyhow. And they also get buffed some difficulty. So if I was playing on, say, Thinker with the Thinker mod, I'd have to be much more wary of Sparta than this. Anyhow, this is only one move, so it can't disengage. Just move it back to... Somebody's got to guard that probe team. Oh, it's going to move on anyhow. Yeah, I'm just going to disband this into newer stuff. It's hardened, damaged. I don't think I have enough disciplined units to disband. So probe team. Support from here. So that if it gets caught, it just returns to border agency. Would have sworn I had a transport around here somewhere. Don't see it. But I think it'd be around. Probably not gonna have any units sitting here soon. No. This. Go to the base. No, I'll stack with this. It's the only unit that can defend it from around mine worm attacks, even though I think that prevents withdrawal. Right. Right there, in. Hardened unit. I don't know how it got to hardened. Could it be a potential veteran? I don't know. I should probably repair it just in case and to maintain readiness against Sparta. Oh well. I don't want to stat too many rows there. But next turn I can disband this. So it needs to be close enough. Oh. Give me a sec. Yeah, I don't know why I'm second guessing myself so much. Might as well. Do that. If it failed to move, would have been stacked there, provide extra protection for the probe team. If it found a mine worm, I had some rovers here that could deal with it. I just need to stay near border agency. Also, I want something here in case Spartan stack is closer, I think. I highly doubt it. Yeah, it's probably about 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably about 8 turns before anything would show up, is my guess. So got a little time. Moving through fungus can get bounced, so if it's through fungus, actually, it might be like a dozen. So I don't know. I have 12 years, 22, 25 before. I mean, Sparta might declare war earlier, but before their troops could actually reach border agency. It's going to take them time to muster their army, during which I'm going to produce a couple missile rovers, upgrade some more. Get an APC and an unarmored transport down to border agency, and maybe another missile infantry after that. Have a couple infantry, a couple rovers that produce, as well as upgrade. The infantry might not be as good as rovers for defending, like on the open and such, but event they can still fight anything that they get close enough to, and they'll eventually, that way they can gain combat experience, which will help me when I go in the counterattack and try and take a Spartan base, which should force Sparta to the negotiating table if I take a base from them. The provocation was probably they saw my probe team and they said, enough, it's time to attack this bastard. I was hoping it would eventually provoke them, but maybe a little longer, further down the line than this. I want them to be the ones to declare war so I don't lose integrity rating. Righty then. This will probably be cutting off this way. Especially this probe team doesn't get immediately intercepted moving or here. If their army is gone, then there's nothing to sell at a parade ground. The slow probe team might even be able to, since I don't think they'll pull the garrison, it's doing police duty. They would have to assign another doctor if they did. If this is all they have in the base, I might be able to walk right in and steal a tech with the slow probe team. The fast one can circle around the west, quickly scout this area. Maybe the slow one will just keep doing it because units don't return to base after they steal attack, do they? I forget. I think when they infiltrate, they do. So maybe actually they do. I think they go to the nearest base to. I'll figure it out. Green. Oh, here's the transport. Green it is. I want probably to backtrack soon, so. Say I want to keep a wide swath in base, but I probably actually want to see something if it's coming here instead of getting cornered against the fungus. I got 3 probe teams in their borders. Mass probe action. Seems if they're really about to go to war, seems they got those probe teams here just not a moment too late. Not a moment too soon, I should say. Boom. Keep this spot open so I don't have to stack more than 4, 5 units in that one tile. It's already a lot. One won't leave, but 4 if I do get hit by a mine worm. That would be rough. A lot of units that I have to send for repairs. Guess this will have to move last because it'll probably block a fungus tile, but I want this rover to make its way to that monolith and repair up. Of course, well, it is a way hardened. Could disband into this so that the transport being done in reasonable time. Yeah. One thing at a time. Still hunting for the occasional mine worm. You know what? This unit's only discipline. It's not trash, but not great. Boom. Would have been fine if it failed to move. You can disband it. Monitoring agency, but here can also move south and it has forest for defense. Need to guard the probe teams a little bit. Alright. It's actually the only thing that can reach that tile in time. go this route to have some protection. Forest complete. Over time they'll grow. It's a long-term investment. Condenser there. Why did I not do a condenser in the farm? Still don't know. How am I doing for time? Ooh, hour and 25 minutes. All right, well, that's probably enough of this. I hope you folks enjoyed this video. Take care of each other, kind to yourselves, and may you always find a guiding star lead you home. Until next time, this is Northstar.
Please don't go.
I
The
do.
drones need you.
I'll see you guys back
They look up to you.
do the Planetary Council elections, probably next video at some point.